It's time for the main event on India's tour of Australia, the red ball series, or it begins with the pink ball, of course, but for the other tests, it will be the red ball. It's the border Gavaskar trophy. You know, when you enter boxing events, when you enter MMA events or any of that sort, you have these small matches at the beginning, but the main event is always reserved for the end. And that's exactly what's happening here as well on India's tour to Australia. The Border Gavaskar Trophy happening now, 4 tests spread across a month's time. It's going to be an absolute joyride, to say the least. Sandipan Banerjee joining me from the comfort of his home at this point in time. Sandipan, you also just got out of a press conference where Virat spoke ahead of the first test. What was the atmosphere like at that press conference? What was spoken about? How did Virat come across?
Yeah, like he sounded quite confident, and remember, actually, he was talking about his the first time he captained the side in Adelaide back into 2014. So
Right.
now 6 years has gone by. A lot of changes have happened. So he was just being little bit nostalgic about that moment. But I think the Indian team is looking quite confident. They are. I think now when we are talking, they are about to release their playing 11 a day ahead of the test match, which is a very good. I believe a test 11 should be released in the prior day, so that the players can get enough time to be mentally prepared for a test match. Right. So what news I am getting from the Indian camp is that they will likely to go ahead with Saha as a keeper, because remember, Pant scored 100 in the second warm-up game in Sydney, but I think they are trusting their most experienced and better keeper, that is Riddhiman Saha, and they will probably play Prithvi Shaw ahead of Shubman Gill, who scored a half century in the last game.
So it seems like India is sticking to their plans. They've noted that Saha is the #1 keeper in the red ball and the pink ball space, and Prithvi Shaw has been often used as the backup opener. And now with Rohit not being in the mix, it's Shaw's turn, despite, remember, him not being in the best of form.
Absolutely. I think they want to use Shaw. I think there are a couple of theories behind using Shaw. I think because Shaw is an attacking batsman, and the pink ball he will obviously open the batting, and the pink ball test starts in the afternoon, and batting at that point is not exactly the toughest ask like we see in the red ball test, which starts in the morning, so there will be some early morning moisture or something like that.
Right.
So if Shaw can even score a quick fire, maybe like 45 ball 50 or something like that, then he will probably do the job. And Indian team is like taking a gamble. I think this is just kind of a gamble by picking Shaw ahead of someone like Gill. So basically, and Shaw is renowned for playing such knocks, because I can remember one game earlier this year in Christchurch. I was there on a difficult green pitch. Shaw just came out, and it was a wet pitch also. Day one morning, and scored some handy runs in a Christchurch at the Hagley Oval earlier this year. So basically, Indian team management wants to use Shaw on that. On that point of view, that he will go after the bowling early in the innings, whereas the others in the middle order, they can play so that the stage can be set for the middle order, because the tricky period of a day-night test is that twilight period, which Ajinkya Rahane also talking about in yesterday's press conference. Those 45, 50 minutes in the twilight period, that can be a tricky period. So the middle order. So basically, Indian team wants that stage can be set for the middle order by playing an aggressive batsman at the top.
Yeah, and I think that's been the go-to strategy of the team as well, to have one aggressor at the top, and then the others, with Pujara coming in to anchor the innings and everyone else playing around them. Obviously the first test being played in Adelaide, but let's take a look at the overall schedule as well. You've got 4 tests, and you're moving across 4 iconic venues. You're going from Adelaide to Melbourne, and then Sydney, and then Brisbane. Of course, Perth doesn't figure in the mix this time, but Sandipan, let's talk about the occasion. It's a big occasion. It's the marquee event. If you look at the cricketing calendar here, when the calendar rolls out, you're trying to locate, when there's a tour to Australia, you're trying to locate where the venues are in the Test series, because every venue has a very specific trait.
Yep.
And India in particular have had some good memories in Adelaide, haven't
They have. I can still remember that Adelaide Test in 2004, 3-4 series.
they?
That great innings that Rahul Dravid played, the partnership of Dravid and Lakshman. So all those memories, the spell Agarkar bowled in the second innings.
Yeah,
So
big
yeah,
spell.
Adelaide is a good place. I think for India, Adelaide is a good place to start compared to
Yeah.
maybe it would have been an advantage for Australia if they would have started probably in Perth or probably in Brisbane,
Yeah.
which actually Team Payne, remember last year after beating Pakistan, he did a press conference and he actually requested Cricket Australia to start the series against India at Brisbane. And that was actually the plan in the initial schedule. But, after due to COVID, everything has gone for a toss. And
Right.
I think overall, I think India will feel better to start at Adelaide. But obviously, it will be a day-night test. It will be their first overseas day-night test. But playing in Adelaide, I think India own mind.
Yeah, and also looking at it from the other lens, it's from a commercial standpoint also fantastic opportunity. Of course, day night ping ball. Cricket Australia are throwing the works into this test because they realize that the first test is important, and it's also important because it will be Virat Kohli's only test match in this entire series. He, of course, is receiving godlike treatment from Cricket Australia, from not Cricket Australia, but Australia in general. But of course, with good reason, because he's been absolutely magnificent down under. He scored over 600s, a couple of 50s as well in 12 innings. And that will be a huge, huge factor, isn't it, Sandipan? Like Virat's presence in the first test could tilt the advantage towards India, you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Virat, before leaving for India, I think Virat would like to prove a point here. I mean, there has been a lot of criticism about India's performances overseas conditions, barring Australia, the 2018-19 series. They haven't won anything in Sena countries, as we say. So basically, Virat would like to prove a point here. And day-night test can be tricky for both teams, because you don't know actually how the ball will behave on that period, that night. And India have a decent, no more than decent pace attack, I would rather say.
Yeah.
Not they have their own issues as well. Warner is not playing. Smith missed the training session yesterday. So Australia is also not, I'm not saying that they are not in a, obviously Australia will go into the series as favorites, but starting in Adelaide, there is little bit of vulnerability in the Australian camp as well, because Smith's injury, though though what news I have received from Adelaide that Smith obviously will play tomorrow, but he's not 100% fit, that I can tell you. So it can be a good opening for the Indian team if they can at least put some pressure back on Australia right at the start of the series.
Yeah, and of course it will set up the series well as well, right? I mean, knowing that Australia, of course, are walking into this series as favourites. They're much stronger than what they were a couple of years ago. But now, if at all India have to go up and get the first win, draw that first blood, then it would definitely set up the series very, very well for the time to come. Let's draw our attention a little bit more towards the first test. I think it's important to also talk about the pink ball, Sandipan. The first pink ball test match that India was played in, of course, Kolkata versus Bangladesh, was a historic event for many, many reasons. But now India playing in different conditions with a different ball as well. A different manufacturer makes this ball. It's not the SG ball. It's the Kookaburra pink ball. And you, of course, spoke to Ajinkya Rahane in the press conference and asked this very specific question of what are the differences between these two balls and how will it sort of act differently. What was that? What was Ajinkya's answer to that? And what is our basic understanding of what the Kookaburra pink ball will do in these conditions as of now before we play?
Look, Ajinkya did not go into the technicalities. He only shared his experience of playing in the warm-up game with the Kokabura pink ball, and he said that the pace definitely increases when the floodlight is on. Under the
Mm.
floodlights, the ball behaves differently. So
Right.
adjusting to that different behavior when with the sunlight and with the artificial light is the key. He says he
Mm.
believes that communication between the two batsmen during that tricky period, that twilight period,
Mm.
will be
Mm.
the key here. So I guess that's what his point of view is. But for what my understanding of Kokabura pink ball is, if you see the recent history of Australia's day-night test matches, I
Mhm.
think yeah, I think compared to Dukes or what we have seen with the SG pink ball, I don't think
Mhm.
Kokabura ball will be that much effective for the pace bowlers. Okay,
Mm.
obviously it will help the pace bowlers for sure, but comparatively, I think facing a Dukes ball or a SG pink ball will be is much tougher for any batsman. Kokabura will be fine. There will be bounce. Australian batsmen will test will come and hit the deck hard. They will with the new ball they will pitch it up, but there will be runs on offer as well. And Adelaide,
Yeah,
you know, is a high scoring venue.
it is. It is a high
So I
scoring
guess
value.
I don't think Kokabura pink ball won't bother India that much. That's what
Mm.
my understanding is.
Mm. And it's the mindset of this team to anyway put conditions past them and just focus, right? I mean, they at least that's what they put it across as. Like they do not really want to focus on too many things, but rather keep it simple. That's usually what the answers we get in the press conferences. Um, However, I think it's important for us to also focus on the fact that Ishant Sharma will not be present for the foreseeable future, at least. And his presence, I mean, his experience of bowling in Australia and the success he's gotten there will be absent from the ranks. You reckon it could be a little tricky for India? Of course, they'll miss Ishant. It's a question that we do not really need to go into. But that experience of not having someone who's bowled in these conditions before could be tricky, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Ishant's length, as we always say, is ideal for Australian conditions, you know.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously Ishant will be missed, but good thing for India is that Umesh has hit form at the right moment. He
Mm.
in the first warm-up game he got quite a few wickets in both innings. He
Hmm.
bowled a lot of overs, and he was very disciplined. Earlier, with Umesh, we always anticipate that he will bowl that one ball in the leg stump line, and he will
Mm.
bowl a four good balls, but one ball in the leg stump line that will ruin his over. But
Mm.
fortunately, because the games were available games were like available on
Stream.
television, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
watched those matches. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it was streamed, actually live stream.
yeah.
So Umesh actually was trying to bowl six ball at the right areas. So that is
Mm.
one positive which I have found out from his bowling. And I think Umesh is going into this game. I think Umesh is in good form. So obviously
Mm.
Ishant will be missed,
Yes.
but I think Umesh is in a good shape to replace him.
Yeah. Very interesting though. I mean, you obviously India do not really have as many injury concerns as compared to Australia, who have a whole list of absentees, but still have Ishant and Rohit, who are key pillars that will be out of cricket for some time. Rohit, of course, on route will be available for the third and the fourth. Is subject to, of course, things going well, but India looking a lot more stronger, a lot more fitter, and I think that will definitely balance the series. Let's talk about the hosts as well, Sandipan. I have the likely 11 in front of me for Australia. This is what Fox and a couple of others are reporting at this point of time. So you're looking at Burns and Wade to open the batting. Of course, an absolute makeshift opening pair at the top, if you'd like, with Warner
Yeah,
absent. Um, Manas Labuschagne comes at 3, Smith at 4,
three.
Travis Head at 5, Cameron Green, Tim Payne, and that's your batting, and then you have Cummins, Stark, Lyon, and Hazelwood. So the bowling, of course, looking very, very strong and resolute, which is great for Australia. The batting, not so likely, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's India's chance actually. You know, they have
Mm.
some vulnerability at the top. So India have the one of the like two good new ball bowlers, Bumrah and Shami, and they will be backed up by Umesh. So that's India's chance. Get Smith early. Make Smith bad during the twilight period, because Smith and Lavushan, that's the backbone of this Australian batting lineup. And Cameron Green, he has done really well in the warm up games, and in the recent first class matches he has played. So he will obviously come into the scheme of things as well. But obviously, if Indian bowlers, everyone will target these Smith and Labuschagne pair. If you can get rid of them early, then like 75% of the job will be done.
Yeah. A big part of cricket coverage these days, Sandipan, is talking about battles. We are always focusing on 1v1 battles throughout, especially in the white ball space. But even now in Test cricket, battles are turning out to be quite fun. And I think one battle that I'll be really looking forward to is Jasprit Bumrah versus Mr. Steve Smith. That'll be a mouth-watering battle, and it'll there are a lot of calls that say that battle could pretty much decide the series. What are a couple of the battles that you're looking at, Sandipan, including this one?
Absolutely, Bumrah versus Smith, and I want Bumrah to bowl Yorkers early to Smith with his high back lift and all. If when he is new at the crease, he can be a candidate against whom you can bowl those deadly Yorkers early in the innings as a surprise weapon. I am also looking at the battle of maybe Warner is obviously not playing, but Shami versus Warner, because in Test matches Warner sometimes can be a candidate for a caught behind candidate.
Yeah.
The fourth stump, fifth stump line Shami bowls against the left-handers, that can be ideal against someone like Warner. I am also obviously, let's not forget the Australian bowling lineup, Hazelwood versus Kohli, and so far in this tour, Hazelwood has enjoyed quite a lot of success against Kohli. So at the big stage, as we are saying, this is the ultimate part of this tour, entire tour. So at the big stage, how Kohli handles Hazelwood, maybe Stark versus Rahane.
Well.
Stark has
absolutely.
Best of his form during the white ball leg of the tour. But again, in Test matches, how devastating Stark can be. Let's not forget Cummins. He is still the number one Test bowler in the world right now. So Cummins versus Pujara with his stiff bounce, he can try. He can test
and his
Pujara
skill with the swing. Absolutely,
his skill. So all these battles. And also let's not count out the slow bowlers. I think someone like Nathan Lyon will
the GOAT.
The GOAT. Yes, I think he will have a big part. Probably not much in the first Test match, but in the red ball leg of this Test series, Smith will the Lion will be a huge factor, can be a huge factor of this series. So from India's point of view also, though what I am getting the news that Ashwin will probably play the first Test. So it will be interesting to see how Ashwin bowls on these conditions as well. And whenever Jadeja will be available for selection, if he gets picked in the 11, how he goes about his business.
Fans of Nathan Lyon will be wondering what does he have to do to be taken seriously, but hey, Nathan Lyon is a serious operator indeed. There is nothing.
Nathan Lyon, remember 6 years back.
Serious
6 years back in the Test match, India needed I think 180 runs in 2 sessions or something like that. They had 8 wickets in hand, and Nathan Lyon just changed the course of the game by getting rid of getting rid of Vijay. So
serious operator indeed. The same with Ravi Ashwin as well. 2 very skillful off-spin bowlers. Your folks who love off-spin bowling.
On Australian condition, they are the second innings bowler. They are the second innings bowler. They enjoy the bounce. And when the pitch is little bit of what should I say? Little bit of cracks coming in Australian pitches, on those pitches, then these bowlers can be dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. So many battles, so many players, folks that compete to win in both the teams. Both these teams going hammer and tongs. They know what's up for grabs. Of course, India have had a fair bit of history in this series. Ever since the series got renamed the Border Gavaskar Trophy, India have done really, really well since '96 or so. So, of course, India will be fired up with their fired up captain to go hammer and tongs into this series. But make no mistake, Australia at home are no pushovers. They are one of the best teams in the world, and it'll be a great contest. Sandipan, parting thoughts before we wrap up?
Unlike in the some of the series India have recently played in away conditions, especially in Sena countries, this time they have a good preparation. All these test probables, they have arrived Australia in early with the white ball team. They have fair bit of time to practice. They have played 2 proper practice games and one with the pink ball. So this time, India cannot say that they haven't had enough time for acclimatization and enough time for preparation. This is probably one of the best prepared Indian team going into a series in a Sena country. So I expect India to, at least be very much competitive. Unlike what the Australian media is saying that Australia will be, they will win 3-1 or maybe 2-1 in the series. I believe India have a fair bit of chance. Even without Virat Kohli, when Virat Kohli will be will not be available for the last 3 test matches, I think because of India's bowling, I think India will have a fair bit of chance. But let's stick our focus in Adelaide. I think going into this match, I think obviously Australia will be like 40-50, 50-48 ahead. But the entire scheme of things can change
very quickly
in one session.
Very, very quickly.
That can happen with the pink ball.
That's absolutely spot on. Like, look, we still haven't spoken about Ajinkya Rahane. There are so many things that we still haven't spoken about. That's because there are so many talking points in this series, especially when these two teams meet. There's so much to talk about, and that's making us excited. That's making me, Sandipan, and me quite excited because hey, we are purists. We love the red ball, and now there's a pink ball to play with as well. So a big series for India, a big series for Australia, and cricketnews.com will be bringing you all the latest from down under as well. We have a bit of a surprise for you. Along with this coverage, there'll be also an additional coverage coming from down under, so stay tuned to that. Sandipan Banerjee, thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch up with you soon.